Let's start off with Alex Bregman, but before we get to Bregman, I think we have to talk about the Houston Astros first. As of right now, they're 36-40, 7 back in the division, 5 back in the wild card race. They've been at the top of the food chain for a long time now, but they're starting to show some cracks in the armor. Sure, playing a little better as of late, but realistically, are the Astros going to be able to do anything in the American League this year with all the beef in the American League? I'm not so sure. Their farm system ranks near the bottom of Major League Baseball. I think this would be a good chance for the Astros to sell off a couple of pieces, replenish that farm system a little bit, and look towards the next couple of years. Now, with the Astros, the main candidate that could be traded, in my opinion, would be Alex Bregman. He's in the last year of his contract as a free agent after this year. Now, we're taking a look at the numbers. He's hitting .250, a .311 on base, a .405 slugging, the .105 WRC plus. Those might seem a little low, but he got off to a really bad start, but has played better as of late. In his last 15 games, hitting .328, a .397 on base, a .443 slugging. Over the last 30 games, has 5 home runs. Alex Bregman, we all know what he can do. This guy is fantastic with the bat. He has a great track record. He is going to be fine. He's going to play a good third base for you. And a team that I think could use an upgrade at third base would be the Chicago Cubs. Christopher Morel, playing third base this year, sure, has 13 home runs, but the slash line is just terrible, hitting .198, a .302 on base, a .373 slugging. And actually, when you take a look at the overall leaderboards when it comes to third base, Chicago, they rank 28th overall there. And with the Cubs this year, they've been up and down. They're 36-40 as of right now, but they're just 2 games back in the wild card. I could see them making a move to try and upgrade their lineup. And Christopher Morel, this is a guy that can move around. He can play some other positions, find a way to keep that bat in the lineup, keep the pop that he has. But Bregman, in my opinion, would be a consistent bat to add to this order, would be a good rental. Now, when it comes to Alex Bregman, what would it cost to get him? Like I said, he's going to be a free agent after this year. He would be a rental. A good comparison, in my opinion, would be Chris Bryant when they traded him away to the Giants a couple of years ago when they got Canario and Killian in that deal. Didn't take an absolute haul to get him, but a couple of decent prospects to get the job done. Now, for Bregman, the trade that I have would be Bregman going to the Cubs. And back to the Astros, we got BJ Murray and Brandon Birdsell. As of right now, BJ Murray is the number 11 prospect in their system, can play third base, maybe a first baseman as well, but a guy that has a pretty balanced bat, a 50 hit, a 50 power, has a little bit of speed as well. Taking a look at the numbers from last year, had 14 stolen bases to go along with the 16 home runs he hit. Off to a bit of a slow start this year, but this is a guy, he's patient at the plate, has a pretty smooth swing overall. I think BJ Murray would be a nice piece for the Astros to get back. And then I have a pitching prospect in here as well. Brandon Birdsell has more of an upside of a mid-rotation guy, could be a back of the rotation guy, maybe a multi-inning reliever as well, but having a pretty good year overall in AA, a 3.79 ERA over 13 games, has a good fastball, pretty good slider to go along with it, has a curveball. So, he lacks that fourth pitch as of right now to really be like that top of the rotation guy, but hey, the Astros, they've been able to get a lot out of prospects in the past. Maybe they could do something with Birdsell here to get him to that next level. But again, kind of reminds me of that Chris Bryant trade a couple of years ago. I don't think it would take a whole lot to get Alex Bregman. Now, if the Astros threw in some money, maybe they can get another prospect out of it. But overall, I think Alex Bregman on the Cubs would be a great move. Up next, let's talk about Bo Bichette. The Blue Jays are in a tough spot right now, 35-40, way back in the division, 5.5 back in the wild card race. Coming into the year, I wasn't sure what to think about this Blue Jays team. There was a bit of fatigue there, didn't improve all that much in the offseason, and well, here we are. Now the question is, will the Blue Jays sell? They have a couple of pieces on this team. Bo Bichette, Vlad Jr., Ross Atkins did come out and say it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to trade them. Well, I disagree. I think if you can get some good pieces back for these guys, retool for the next couple of years while adding some prospects, I think that could be a good move for the future of the team. Now, when it comes to Bo Bichette, not having a great year overall, hitting .237, a .286 on base, a .342 slugging, an 80 WRC plus, way under the career numbers for him, where in his career he's hit .293 with a .472 slugging and a .334 on base with the 122 WRC plus. Something has just not clicked with Bichette this year. My guess would be something mechanically at the plate, but if he can get that cleaned up, I think we can get back to the old Bo Bichette, and a team that's shown they can get players back on track are the LA Dodgers. Now, they've been rolling with Mookie Betts at shortstop this year, currently on the IL with the fracture. Bichette, sure, maybe not the best defender at shortstop, but at the end of the day, he's going to get the job done. He is a shortstop at the end of the day. I think this would be the best move for the team overall. So I have a couple of trades involving Bichette to the Dodgers. The first one, we got Gavin Lux, Diego Cartaya, and Landon Knack heading back to Toronto. Now, Gavin Lux, this guy's basically in bust territory at this point. He was the number 2 prospect in all of baseball at one point, and this year, he's doing next to nothing. He missed all of last year. Gavin Lux is a guy, I think, there's so much potential there still with him. I think a change of scenery could really help him get some new voices in his ear. He has a couple more years of control. So if the Blue Jays were to go through a bit of a retool here, I think this could be a nice piece for them to get back, try and tap into that potential. And then, speaking of potential, we got Diego Cartaya, a highly regarded catcher not too long ago. He was in the top 100 prospects last year. He was in the top 20 prospects last year. A guy who's, shown a lot of good defensive ability, power, but the hit tool just completely tanked last year. This year, he's coming in with a 40 hit tool. He chased a lot out of the zone last year. He was getting fooled by breaking balls a lot. Off-speed pitches were giving him a lot of trouble. He was just trying to hit tanks, and he completely fell apart at the plate. This year, he is showing improved plate discipline, a 356 on base compared to the 278 last year. Now, still, the overall bat is still coming around, but I think there is still potential here with Cartaya now that he's been cleaning up the plate discipline. He has a good arm out there. He's going to be good defensively. And hey, the Blue Jays, they traded away Gabriel Moreno. This is a chance for them to get a catcher of the future back into their system. And then we also got Landon Knack. He's actually up with the Dodgers right now, but the Dodgers, they got a lot of pitchers coming back soon. Yamamoto on the IL, Clayton Kershaw's on a rehab assignment, so they're going to be getting some guys back into this rotation, leaving someone like Landon Knack expendable. I think this would be a pretty good picture for the Blue Jays to get back. He's been good for the Dodgers so far this year. 5 starts, 2.10 ERA. He was doing well in AAA. So overall, I think this would be a great package to get back for Bichette. Now, if you didn't want, have anything to do with Gavin Lux, maybe you could do one of the top prospects in their system. You got Dalton Rushing, number 1, Josue DePaula, number 2. Dalton Rushing, that's a catcher. If they wanted to, try and get back a catcher this way, maybe the Dodgers will play ball. Maybe you can just do a 1-for-1 Bo Bichette for Dalton Rushing. Could be pretty interesting. Dalton Rushing is blocked in their system. Will Smith, he's going to be there for a long time. So, maybe that could be a piece. Or Josue DePaula farther away, but that could be a special bat down the road. Either way, there's flexibility here for the Dodgers to get a deal done. I think someone like Bo Bichette would be great for them to get back. Let's get to the pitching side of things and talk about Jesus Luzardo. The Marlins are going to be obvious sellers this year, and Jesus Luzardo is one of the most slam dunk trade candidates out there, in my opinion. Now, having a bit of a bumpy year, was dealing with an arm issue not too long ago, dealing with a back issue a little bit right now. The numbers don't look amazing. ERA at a 5, but FIP is a lot better at 4.24. I think that's a good sign. And we all saw the year that he had last year, 32 starts, ERA and the FIP in the mid-3s, 10.5 strikeouts per 9, 2.7 walks per 9, was pitching in the playoffs last year for the Marlins. I think, if healthy, put him on a playoff contending team that could take a rotation to the next level. And I think a good fit would be the San Diego Padres, 40-40 as of right now with the second wild card. And not too long ago, they were in the rumor mill showing strong interest in Garrett Crochet. I think that's going to be too expensive for them, and I think the fallback would be Luzardo. I think they could get a deal done. They've been, dealing with their own injuries this year. Darvish and Musgrove, they've been up and down, but they've been getting a lot out of the newly acquired Dylan Cease. He's been great. Michael King's been looking a lot better. Waldron has broken out this year. Get Luzardo in this rotation. That gives them a different look as well. Gives them a lefty in this rotation. You get Darvish, Musgrove back for the playoffs. That's a lot of good pitching for the postseason and gives them some insurance down the stretch. I think this could be a great fit overall. So the trade that I have, we got Luzardo going to San Diego and back to the Marlins. We got Dylan Lesko, Graham Pauley, Victor Lizarraga, and Eggy Rosario. Now, Dylan Lesko, this guy, his stuff is off the charts. Having a bit of a down year in the minors. Came back from Tommy John last year, still trying to figure himself out. Had a really good start his last time out. 6 innings, 1 hit allowed. This guy's stuff is off the charts. One of the best changeups in all of the minor leagues, in my opinion. I think this would be a great addition for the Marlins. I mean, think about the pitchers they already have in that system, right? You got Thomas White, Noble Meyer there, add Dylan Lesko to the mix. The Marlins, they have shown they can really get some good pitching, right? Look what they did with Ryan Weathers this year. Look what they did with Luzardo just a couple of years ago. They got him back on track. So I think this would be awesome for the Marlins to get back. If not, Lesko, maybe you could do Snelling instead. I think one of those guys would be a good piece to send back. And then you get a couple more options. Graham Pauley, that's a good bat. He's seen some major league time this year. I think could be an impact corner bat for you down the road. We got Lizarraga, a pretty balanced pitching prospect overall. I think that would be another nice picture to add for the Marlins system. And then we got Eggy Rosario, a young, more of a utility guy at this point. I think for the Marlins, hey, why not? That could be a decent piece for them, a cost control piece. If not him, maybe another prospect here. Either way, I think Luzardo would be a nice fit for the San Diego Padres. Sticking with the pitching, and speaking of Garrett Crochet, this guy's having a monster breakout season in his first full season as a starter. 16 starts, ERA at a 3.25, FIP at a 2.59, 12 and a half strikeouts per 9, 2 walks per 9. These are disgusting numbers, so there's definitely an argument for the White Sox to hang on to him, build around him for the next few years, but there's also an argument too to strike while the iron is hot, really get back some prospects in return, because really, how close are the White Sox to competing here? You're probably looking at, maybe at least a couple of years, and if Garrett Crochet is going to be a free agent here in a few years, I think you can make the argument to trade him, get back some valuable pieces for the system. Now, Garrett Crochet, I think, would be a great fit for the Baltimore Orioles. Currently the first wild card with a record of 49-26. This is a very good team this year, but they've been having a lot of injuries to this rotation. You've already lost Kyle Bradish and John Means for the year. Tyler Wells, along with that. Dean Kramer dealing with some arm issues. This rotation is taking a lot of hits. Now, Corbin Burns has been a great pickup for them, but I feel like you need something else alongside him. Sure, Albert Suarez, he's been a good story this year. You got Grayson Rodriguez, Cole Irvin, but I feel like you need another weapon here. And even if Garrett Crochet has to go to the bullpen later down the road, because you got to remember he came out from Tommy John not too long ago, will there be an innings limit with him? We'll see. Either way, I think could be a great weapon for the Orioles this year in the postseason, and you would still have him for a couple more years after that. And they have the prospects to get a deal done. For Garrett Crochet, it is going to take you quite a bit to get a deal done here. This is no joke when it comes to sending back a package to the White Sox. Like I said, he has multiple years of control combined with these great numbers, combined with the projection, combined with how little money you're paying the guy. Yeah, you're going to have to give up a lot for Garrett Crochet. Luckily, the Orioles have the pieces to get it done. And they got a couple of pieces where I feel like they might be a bit blocked in the system. Taking a look here at the first trade that I have, we've got Garrett Crochet going to Baltimore. Going back to the White Sox, we got Samuel Basallo, Chase McDermott, and Luis De Leon. Now, taking a look, Samuel Basallo is leading the way in terms of value here. 19 years old. This guy's bat is for real. He's 6'4", 180 pounds. He could still add some weight to that frame. As you can see here, a 60 hit and a 60 power. Great plate discipline, great swing, tons of exit velocity with him. This guy is going to be a special bat down the road. He's putting up just fantastic numbers in the minor leagues this year. Last year, he had a 953 OPS. This year, a little down in Double-A, but still really solid numbers overall, still showing the power, 10 home runs. Basallo is going to be a really nice piece, but you got to be thinking here, these guys, he's a catcher, he's a first baseman. Well, you got Adley there for the next how many years? I would imagine the Orioles are going to get him extended at some point. And, first base, you got someone like Kobe Mayo in the system that could be your next first baseman at some point. So I think Basallo definitely could be an option here. And then you got a couple more pieces to go along with it. McDermott, a pitching prospect, along with Luis De Leon, another left-hander, has some pretty good stuff from the left side. So the White Sox would be getting a lefty in this deal. So I think this could be a pretty nice package. But if the Orioles are hell-bent on keeping Samuel Basallo, which I wouldn't blame them at all, this guy could be a really good bat, maybe you could do Kobe Mayo going to the White Sox instead, and then you got Basallo down the road at some point. And then I've also thrown in a couple other prospects here. Dylan Beavers, outfield prospect, having a pretty decent year in the minor leagues, higher draft pick not too long ago, and Chase McDermott, pretty good pitching prospect. Either way, the Orioles, they got the flexibility here to get a deal done for someone like Crochet. I think would be amazing for the Orioles in their quest to go for a World Series this year. Let's get back to the Astros and talk about Kyle Tucker. I can see Astros fans freaking out over this one, saying we're absolutely not trading Kyle Tucker. Hear me out. I, more than anyone, want the Astros to extend Kyle Tucker. I don't know why this guy doesn't have a contract extension at this point. He's only 27 years old and one of the best players in baseball. Why does he not have a long-term contract? I have no idea. But if the Astros are not going to extend him, I think they should trade him before he gets even closer to free agency. Trade him while his value is still high, and you can get back a good package of prospects for him. I mean, look at the numbers that he's putting up this year. 19 home runs to go along with an average of 266, a 395 on base, a 584 slugging, a 175 WRC plus. Already has a Fangraph wins above replacement of 3.2, not even halfway through the season. You could get back a huge package for Kyle Tucker. Now, it's not going to be a massive package. He has one more year of control after this year, but still, because he has that full extra year, you're going to get back at least a decent sized package for him. And I think the best team that would be the best fit for Kyle Tucker would be the Philadelphia Phillies. Now, I've seen a lot of people say, Luis Roberts, center field, but you got Brandon Marsh in center field. I mean, that can be just fine, and Kyle Tucker can go play one of the corners. And actually, I think this would improve the Phillies, not just offensively, but defensively as well. Nick Castellanos in right field, he is not a good defender out there. I think you put Kyle Tucker, a better defender, out in right field, and then you can move Castellanos out to left field. I think that it can only help the Phillies defensively. Either way, I think this would be a great pickup. Could you imagine this lineup with Harper and Turner and Schwarber and Kyle Tucker and Bohm? Oh, I mean, what a lineup that would be. Unbelievable. So I have a couple of different packages here. I think the Phillies have some flexibility to be able to get a deal done. Here's the first one. We got Kyle Tucker going to Philadelphia. Back to the Astros. We got Justin Crawford, the son of Carl Crawford. We got Mick Abel, Gabriel Rincones, and Alex McFarland. Now, Justin Crawford leads the way in terms of value. He's just like his dad, just extremely athletic, a big hit tool, not a whole lot of power. I'd probably say Carl Crawford maybe had a little bit more power, but either way, Crawford, this guy's going to be a really good hitter down the road, a 75 run. You're going to see a very similar profile to Carl Crawford, and that's not bad if you ask me. And then Mick Abel is the other piece here, the number 3 prospect in their system. He's a really interesting pitching prospect. There's a lot of projection with him. He's 6'5", could still fill out that frame even more. He's got good stuff, good velocity. He just has problems with the command and the control. I mean, he's a big guy. He's 6'5". He's got long levers. So I think mechanically you just need to get that figured out. And if they can get that figured out, you could be unlocking an ace in this rotation down the road if you're the Astros. And they've been able to get a lot out of prospects in the past. So I could see them doing some good work with Mick Abel. I think that would be a nice piece for them to get back. And then we also got Gabriel Rincones. This is a corner outfielder, has some pop there, a 55 power. He's having himself a good year in the minor leagues this year, hitting 300 with an OPS over 1,000. That would be a really nice pickup for them to get. And then we got Alex McFarland dealing with some arm issues at this point, but there's a lot of projection with him. He's got a big fastball. He's 6'3", has a good slider and a decent changeup to go along with it. That would be a nice prospect to get back. Either way, I think this would be a great package for the Phillies to get back. But let's say, we don't want Mick Abel. We like Crawford, but we're not really sold on Mick Abel. Okay, well, maybe you could swap out Crawford and Abel, and maybe you could center a package around Aiden Miller. Remember earlier I talked about Alex Bregman. If you trade him, well, you could be getting back a third baseman of the future in Aiden Miller here. A lot of power there with Aiden Miller, the number 2 prospect in their system. This is a fun prospect to keep an eye on, having himself a pretty good year in the minor leagues so far, hitting 261 and 849 OPS. I think he could be a really good player down the road. And we got a couple more prospects to go along with it. Rincones once again, McFarland once again, and then we got a Marion Boyd. Very similar athletically to Justin Crawford. There's a lot of speed there, so that could be a nice outfield prospect to get back. But for the Phillies, Kyle Tucker, what a move this would be for the Philadelphia Phillies. Reminds me of the Hunter Pence trade back in the day, where it took a couple of higher prospects at the time to get a deal done. I think you could see a lot of similarities ways to that one there. But Kyle Tucker, he would be great for the Phillies. Last but not least, and speaking of Luis Robert, I could definitely see a situation where the White Sox seriously consider moving him if a team offers a good enough package. Like I said with Garrett Crochet, there's definitely an argument hanging on to these guys because you can build around them, but there's also the argument too, if they're far away from competing, you might want to trade these guys, really try to maximize the prospects that you can put back into your system. Luis Robert, he could definitely bring back a good package for you. He's showing right now that he's healthy. That's the one thing that's dogged him in his career, is the injury bug. He already had a hip issue this year, but considering what he did last year, the numbers that he put up last year, they were so good. And this year, he's having a bit of a weird year, but he is showing that he could definitely still hit for some power. 7 home runs already through 23 games, hitting 190 though. The on base is at 269, but the slugging is 476. Either way, I think Luis Robert is a game-changing bat. And when you look at the numbers from last year, 38 home runs and 20 stolen bases, very good defensively in the field. It's not very often you come around a player like this. This is why I think what he can bring to the table, the potential that he could bring to your lineup outweighs the risk when it comes to the injuries. He's that special of a player, and I think he'll bring back a very good package in return. And a team that I have that I think would be an amazing fit for Luis Robert, they're a dream team for me in this scenario, the Pittsburgh Pirates. They absolutely need a bat in this order. Now, it's been the Paul Skeens show as of late. He's been amazing since getting called up. Jared Jones has been awesome this year. So has Mitch Keller. So the pitching has been great. But man, oh man, could they use a bat here. Nick Gonzalez came up recently, has helped out the lineup, but I feel like you need an impact bat in this order to give it a bit more extension, get some pressure off some of these guys, and you can get a really good lineup here with Luis Robert in the middle. And when you take a look at the center field production, they're 29th overall in WRC plus. I mean, this would be huge for the Pittsburgh Pirates. And when it comes to the Pirates, I think they got some prospects they could deal away, and it wouldn't sting all that much because some of these guys are blocked. So taking a look at the package, we got Luis Robert going to Pittsburgh, and then back to the White Sox, we got Tamar Johnson, Bubba Chandler, you got Sung-Shae Chang, and Lonnie White. Now, Tamar Johnson would be leading the package here. He is their number 2 prospect, second baseman, a very good bat coming out of high school a couple of years ago. Hasn't fully put it together as of right now, but he's still showing that elite plate discipline that he already showed in high school. Has a career 403 on base percentage in the minor leagues. Just waiting for that bat to fully get going. Last year, he had the 438 slugging, showed some signs. This year in high A, still trying to get it going, but I think Tamar Johnson is going to be a really solid bat down the road. That could be a nice offensive up the middle pairing with Colson Montgomery and Tamar Johnson. And then we got Bubba Chandler here. You could go with Anthony Solometo in this deal. I feel like Bubba Chandler has more upside. He has that more of that velocity, has the slider and the curve and the changeup to go along with it. Solometo is more of that crafty, deceptive kind of picture. I like Bubba Chandler. Not having an amazing year in the minors, not bad at all though. Double A right now is a 4.37 ERA over the 13 games. Again, I think this would be a really nice pitcher to add to your system. I think that would be fantastic. And then we got a couple other guys. Sung-Shae Chang, this is an interesting prospect here. Not amazing numbers himself, only hitting 222, but showing a strong on-base percentage in the minor leagues so far in his career, a 368 on base. The plate discipline is amazing with him, and I think his bat could definitely get going. And then we got Lonnie White Jr., a very athletic outfielder, has a 70 run tool. Since you're trading away Luis Robert, maybe get another athletic outfielder back in return. Maybe Lonnie White could give you something. Either way, I think there is some flexibility here. I think the Pirates could make a deal where it's not going to hurt very much. You would have to give up a decent amount, but considering Tamar Johnson here, you already got Nick Gonzalez there for the next several years. So would losing Tamar Johnson really be that big of a hit? I don't know. In my opinion, probably not. Bubba Chandler, sure, that's a good pitching prospect to give up, but you already got some great starting pitching right now. And if you got rid of him, you still got Solometo there. So I think either way, I think the Pirates could make a deal here, and it wouldn't hurt them all that much. But those are just my thoughts. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Let me know what you think of these trades. Tell me if you think they're terrible, great, whatever. But I challenge you, give me your trades. I want to see your trade proposals. That is what makes this fun. Give me some other trade ideas as well. But everyone, that's all I got for this video. Thanks for watching. If you can on the way out, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll talk to you next time.